Okay, we're going to talk about the order on a number line and the how that relates to what's called the absolute value. Now you recall that a number line is simply a line that goes in both directions, divide in half by 0, and we can actually put a few integers on here, like so. Right, now notice that all the numbers to the right are going this way are positive, and all the numbers to the left are negative here. But to get a sense of the order of numbers, you'll notice that any number to the left of a number is smaller. Alright, so if, for example, if I take a number here as A and my number here is B, then we'd say that A is less than B. Alright, this is less than. It's smaller. Okay? Right, or we could say that B is greater than A. Okay? Right, notice here that 1 is less than 2, or 2 is greater than 1, because 2 is here and 1 is here. Right, now when you come to negatives, you'll notice that in fact negative 2 is less than negative 1, because it's to the left of negative 1. Or we could say that negative 1 is greater than negative 2. Okay. Now another thing about the number line is that we can measure things from 0. For example, let's suppose this is the number 4 and this is the number negative 4. Then these are both a distance of 4 from 0. Right, so distance is positive. Right, it's how far 4 is from 0. And so we represent this by saying that the absolute value, this is the distance from 4 is from 0, it would be 4. But also negative 4, the absolute value of that is 4. We call this the absolute value. Is really the distance, alright, that a number is from 0. Okay, so negative 4 is a distance 4 from 0, just in this direction. And 4, positive 4, is a distance 4 just in this direction. Now the way we actually define the absolute value, alright, for any particular number is this. Alright, if the number is positive, like in this case it was 4, alright, so it will simply be the number if A is greater than or equal to 0. Of course 0 is a distance 0 from 0, so it works for equals to there. Alright, and it'll be negative A if A is less than 0. Why? Because if A is less than 0, like negative 4, then what I'd do is I'd take the negative of negative 4, and that would produce the 4, which is what I have here. Okay, so let's do some examples. Okay, so what we have here, let's suppose I want to find the absolute value of negative 7/9, say. Alright, well, since this is negative, this would be the negative of negative 7/9, which would be 7/9. So you just make it positive. Alright, let's do part B. Alright, what if I have the negative of the absolute value of negative 7? Well, this would be the negative. The absolute value of negative 7 is in fact 7. The negative of negative 7 is 7, and so I end up with negative 7. Alright, part C, let's suppose that I have the negative of the absolute value of 5. Well, the absolute value of 5 is 5, so I'd end up with negative 5. Okay? Alright, so let's do part D. Okay, let's suppose we have the absolute value of 3 pi. Now pi, of course, is approximately 3.142 and so forth. So it's positive. 3 times that will be still positive, so I end up with that result. Okay. Alright, so we have some properties of the absolute value. Right, and so we're talking about for real numbers A and B. Well, we have the following. Number 1, clearly the absolute value is always positive or it's equal to 0. Number 2, alright, the absolute value of a negative A is still equal to A. Okay? Right, number 3, right, the absolute value of A times the absolute value of B is exactly the same as the absolute value of A times B. Number 4, right, the absolute value of A divided by the absolute value of B is in fact the same as the absolute value of A divided by B, alright, as long of course as B is not equal to 0. And finally, number 5 is the absolute value of A plus B is less than or equal to the absolute value of A plus the absolute value of B. You can see that by means of a triangle if you like. Okay. If this is A and this is B, it's longer to go from A, the distance A plus the distance B, than it is to go from here to here. Okay. Alright, so that's how we have the properties here. So, for example, right, let's suppose if we have, if X or A, let's use A for now, A is equal to 13 and B is equal to -9. Let's evaluate. Part A, let's say 4m plus, A plus 3b. Right, this would be 4 times 13, absolute value of that, plus 3 times -9. So this would be the absolute value of 4, that's 52, and this is minus 27. And that of course will be, 2 off there will be 45, so that'll be 25. Absolute value of 25, which of course is 25. Okay, let's do part B. Let's suppose I have the size of 2A, absolute value of that, minus 3 by the absolute value of B, over the absolute value of A plus B. Right, this would be the absolute value of 2 times 13 minus 3 times, now the absolute value of B would be 9, it's positive, over the absolute value of 13 plus -9. So this would be 2 13s are 26, absolute value of 26 is 26, minus 27, over the absolute value of 13 minus 9 would be 4, absolute value of 4 is 4, so I end up with -1/4 would be my result. Alright, so that's how we do that. Now, the objective of this, of course, is to always work out what the distance between two numbers is on a number line. And to do that, we say, alright, the distance between, say, 2 points, A and B, on a number line, is simply equal to, alright, B, the absolute value of B minus A, or if we could write it as, of course, the distance from A to B could in fact be the absolute value of A minus B. It doesn't matter which way we do it as long as we're taking the absolute value. Okay?